Hello, Starrla Cray. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us how you got involved at the Loft?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for taking time to interview me and everything. So I am a lifelong resident of Minnesota. I actually grew up about an hour west of the Twin Cities on a farm. So I like being outdoors and animals and all of that. And actually, right now I have two little pet frogs, but that's it. So for animals, and my background is in journalism, and right now I am in a MFA program for creative writing at Minnesota State University Mankato. And as part of that, I also teach English composition, and teaching has been just one of the best things I've done here. So it's been really nice. And then as far as getting involved in the Loft, I actually um, heard about it from a professor, and immediately I thought this is something I definitely want to do. I really like teaching and love creative writing. And also when I saw the opportunity to teach 9 to 11-year-olds, I thought that would be just perfect. That's kind of when I got interested in writing, was around that age. And I just feel like it's a really fun time. So
Ooh, I have so many questions. Let's start with you mentioned you have lived in Minnesota, grew up here. So how has growing up in Minnesota influenced your art, your writing, your teaching style?
yeah, that's a good question. I think there are so many writers in Minnesota. I think I felt really lucky that as a journalist, I've had opportunities to interview a lot of different writers in all different genres. And then I've also been part of the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And then just some of the friends I've made here too. I have a writing group that we meet once a month at used to be my house, but it's the format changes with the pandemic and everything, but hopefully go back to that at some point. And um, it's it's just been really nice to be able to be with other writers. And yeah, I just think that where you're at does influence the type of writing you do or just what you see around you.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think for sure. I didn't grow up in Minnesota. I grew up in Illinois, but uh, also just like growing up in the Midwest, it's a very particular experience.
Yeah. And you have
So,
all the seasons, so
right.
you can get that really, really cold and the really warm.
Hmm. So true. So you mentioned journalism, and I'm so interested in like the trajectory from journalism to what you're doing now as an MFA candidate and an English composition instructor.
Yeah. So I had always thought about teaching, even when I first went to college. And then something always just kind of pulled me towards journalism. I had a couple of really good internships that I just thought, this is so amazing to be able to interview people and to just get out and see different things and write about it. I thought, what more could you want? But I always did have teaching in the back of my mind and creative writing. But journalism seemed like the practical thing to do where you can go right away and get a job and just like all of that excitement. So I did that for about 10 years and I really enjoyed it. And then I just started to get really into certain just different types of actual creative writing. And I think through that writing group, also just having the support of other people and just wanting to branch out and challenge myself and push myself to do something new. And so yeah, just applied for the creative writing program and applied for the teaching position. And it's been really cool so far to do something different.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think community really does play a big role when it comes to writing and like artistic expression in general. I would love to hear more about your MFA program. Is there anything you specifically focus on? How is that going?
Yeah, it's going really well. So I have 1 year left. It's a 3-year program. And I came into the program thinking I was going to do creative nonfiction. I was doing some ghostwriting and was working on a memoir for someone else. And then when I kind of got into it, this program is really nice because you do classes for poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction, and you can really mix and match, even though they do want you to have a certain thing you're working towards for your thesis. But I came in doing that, and then now I'm actually leaning toward fiction, and in the beginning stages of working on a mystery novel that I'm hoping to use for my thesis. And I do like poetry also. I've written some of that. So I feel like it's just the program has exposed me to a lot of different types of writing that I wouldn't maybe have otherwise been able to experience.
And I feel like that's really related to one of the courses you're teaching this summer. So would you want to talk more about the summer writing group you have at the Loft this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. So that class is an 8-week class, and it's going to be just kind of a fun, low pressure way for young writers to connect and get encouragement and feedback and all of that. And we are doing fiction, poetry, and creative nonfiction. So we'll do some, just some like short reading of, other students, people their age who have written things like this, and then group writing activities and individual writing prompts, just fun things. So even if a student has no experience with, say poetry or creative nonfiction and or even fiction, if they've never written anything before, it's completely fine. And I'm new. When I first started the MFA program, I was new to some of this stuff too. And it's just fun to explore different things and just to see what's out there. Sometimes you like something that you didn't even know.
Yes, and I think that's what, for this course in particular, I saw that it is a very exploratory course. It really allows students to kind of explore these different genres and dabble in them. So the other course you're teaching, could you tell us a bit more about that one?
Yeah, so that one is called Exploring Storytelling Through Reading and Writing. And that one is a 4-week class. And basically for that one, it'll be a mix of reading, writing, and then again, fun community building activities. And that one is focused on fiction because we are going to be using excerpts of a book. It's called A Field Guide to Getting Lost. And students don't need to have the book or have read it before, any of that. I'll be providing PDFs just that are readily available for everyone to look at during class. But I chose this book because, first of all, it was named one of the best books for children ages 9 to 12. And also it has really good character development. The chapters switch between 2 protagonists. One of them is a girl who's really into science, and the other is a boy who is likes to write about adventures, and they have very different personalities, and their 2 stories come together in this one book. But it just gives, at least for writers, you can kind of think of how to develop these characters. And sometimes if you're reading a book, you think, how did the author do that? You're really getting into the story, but it can feel like I could never do that. That's overwhelming. So this class is designed to just break those things down and to make it less intimidating. So we're going to have just like simple step-by-step instructions of things, students can do to work on character development, or, looking at setting or dialogue and just narrative arc. And by the end of it, they'll have a story of their own that they can, share with the class if they want, or, pretty much anything. It's, be pretty informal and just a fun way for people to explore and hopefully develop their love of reading and writing at the same time.
Yes, and that sounds amazing. So now that you've talked about both of the courses that you'll be teaching, what do you hope students will get out of these courses?
Yeah, so similar for both of them. I would say the one that is just about fiction, I would want them to learn some of the basic elements of fiction and just practice writing their own narrative, and just to build confidence in their abilities that, hey, you can do this. And then also for that one, collaborative writing, I think talking to other writers and just getting ideas from people and thinking out loud together can really help you become a better writer yourself. So for that one, those are the goals. And then for the other one, the 8-week just summer writing group, I would like students to think of something that they want to write about, because there's going to be a lot of different prompts to choose from. Students won't be pinned into one specific thing. If they don't feel like writing about something one day, there's going to be so many different options. So for this one, I want them to just get encouragement and feedback for their writing and build their creative writing skills and gain exposure to different types of writing. And then also just to meet new friends.
Yeah, and talking about friends and community, how do you hope to foster community and in virtual spaces?
Yeah, and that's something that I do have experience with. My teaching through the university here started out as in person, which was great, and then moved to online. So I've had to adapt a lot of the activities we do and still try to make it engaging and interactive. So I definitely really encourage participation and just engaging with each other. It won't just be staring at a screen and writing by yourself. We'll have a lot of different activities and even things that incorporate like the students' physical space, especially for the creative nonfiction aspect. They can find objects in their house and just different things that we can do to share and to see each other and just get to know each other that way and take time to listen to each other. Even if we're not face to face, there are definitely ways to do it where you can definitely feel like, hey, I was with people and these people care about me. I think that's really important.
Yes, and everything you're saying really resonates with me as someone who's currently going to classes on Zoom. So
Yeah, it can be easy to check out, especially in a class where there's a long lecture or where you're not expected to participate. You can just feel very alone, and I definitely want students in my class to feel like, hey, I care that you're here. Each person, even if I can't see you face to face, I know you're here and you're part of this community. So that's something that's definitely important to me.
and now this will probably be the last question. In your bio, it mentions that you're also a photographer and an artist. So you just have several creative outlets, and I'm interested in hearing how those various outlets influence your work as a writer, as a teaching instructor.
Yeah. Oh man, definitely. I'm really into multimodal teaching where if it's just text, I think that's fine, but sometimes it can be good to do things orally, or if you can do things visually and combine all of that together, you can really make for a more immersive experience. So yeah, as far as art, I am working on writing and illustrating picture books, and I'm a ways off yet from sending to publishers. I have a series right now that I'm working on, but it's been really fun to incorporate some of that art in with writing and actually making a story that you can see. And then, yeah, as far as like photography, I used to have a macro lens for my camera, and I would do a lot of pictures of things really, really close up. As far as like, I used to, in the summers, I'll raise monarch butterflies. So I have where you can take pictures of little caterpillars and stuff. So that can be just like kind of neat inspiration for writing as well. And I just feel like the things around us can sometimes make for really neat nonfiction or poetry, or even it can inspire different stories for fiction. So Yeah, I think it's all connected.
Well, thank you so much. This was um and a very interesting, and like I feel like I got a lot out of this interview, and I'm so excited um to, once classes start, the Loft summer courses, to hear more about how that goes. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, your presence, your wisdom, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.